Hi, everybody. Matt Bernier, joined by Woodbine analyst Jeff Bratt, taking a look at the Saturday Woodbine play of the day for November the 17th. Race number 8, a mile and a 16th on the Tapeta surface, the $100,000 South Ocean for 2-year-old fillies. Before we dive into this field, only a field of 5, and we'll go over each horse really briefly. Just, Jeff, for those that don't know or unaware, all races this weekend are going to be carded for the Tapeta. It's that time of year, going to get some inclement weather, and it sounds like you guys have more on the way.
Right, so we're recording this on Thursday morning, and they're calling for some pretty active weather Thursday evening into Friday morning as well. I'm not looking forward to my drive into work tomorrow. It sounds like it's going to be a little bit on the tricky side of things. But yeah, so all races that were scheduled for turf are going to be moved over to the Tapeta. Won't affect our stake race handicapping, though this race was always scheduled for the Tapeta. And I always joke with fellow colleagues about this. The South Ocean has a warm name, but it always seems to take place on a bitterly cold day.
Ironic, given the name, like you say, the South Ocean. And as we may mention, only a field of 5, so we're going to quickly touch on each one of them. Let's start off right down to the inside. The number 1, Notice Me. Catherine Day Phillips sends this one out. Most recently, almost got that stakes placing as taking on winners for the first time. That was at 6 furlongs. The run 2 starts back. I was taken by overall thoughts on this filly. I'm not totally convinced about the distance, but at the same time, face value, pedigree-wise, it shouldn't be a problem, I don't think.
She grabbed my attention right when she debuted. I picked her on that day. She was sent off as one of the choices, and I was actually, frankly, shocked she lost. But looking back, the winner of that race has since gone on to do some very, very good things. As you said last time out in the 6 furlong Victorian Queen, kind of a bit of a blanket finish. But Catherine Day Phillips, she's so good with this angle, going from a sprint to a route. She's got a positive ROI. If she thinks the horse can go long, I have no issue with that. It looks as if De Silva had a slew of options in this race, too. I don't know if it's Barn Allegiance or if he actually thinks it's the best horse in the race. But I do think that Notice Me's got a great deal of potential. And distance is a question mark with the first 2 horses that we're going to touch on in this race, too. Some of them are proven going around 2 turns, but it is interesting that 2 of the key contenders in this race have yet to go around 2 turns.
Yeah, like you say, that goes as well for the number 2 Preferred Guest, breaking just to the outside for Mark Casse. Blinkers go on for the first time. One of 2 maidens in this stakes field.
Yeah.
But what she's done on the racetrack, she gives off every impression that there is some legitimate ability here. Do you think she finally gets through here on Saturday?
Okay, so I hope I'm not being fooled with her, because I hope that she's just not an off-the-pace sprinter that wants at least 7/8. I think the way that she finishes, she'll be just fine going a mile and a 16th. She does have some siblings that have done well going around 2 turns. She's got talent, a lot of talent, but her biggest problem, Matt, is she's just got no speed at all, and she leaves herself with so much work to do. I wonder if that's why the blinkers are going on coming up this weekend. Blinkers going on with Casse fillies. It's worked at Woodbine in the past this season with Queen's Plate winner Wonder Godot's. Let's see if it doesn't work out with Preferred Guest. I think she takes the next step, and I think she's going to be very tough to beat in this race.
The number 3 Falcons View, most recently a maiden winner, going 2 turns at Woodbine, so you know the distance isn't going to be an issue. But you look and see, she was 2-5 that day. She was supposed to win, and she did what she was supposed to do. Now the question becomes, do you think she can handle? I understand she got through, and there's still some maidens in this race. She's facing better horses. Do you think she can class up?
Legit question. You look at her raw numbers. She got a 51 for that most recent race. It makes her actually somewhat competitive against these. But her 2 route races have been very similar from a speed figure point of view. She's run the same type of numbers, the same type of races. Can she get to that next level? I don't think she's a top 2 contender in this race. I think she could pick up a portion of the prize, but I think we've seen what she can do at this point of her career going around 2 turns.
Miss Ariel, the 4, is a horse taking the blinkers off for the first time in her career. She is the other maiden in this spot. Her name or her MO at this point has been speed. Even with the blinkers off, I still can't imagine them taking all of her speed away. I think she's going to be the one that goes out and sets the fractions. What do you think about her overall and from a pace standpoint?
She is the pace of the race. There's little doubt about that. I will say this. The barn is really rolling right now. The barn's had a lot of success recently, so if you like that angle, that's something to follow. If she can get away with a nice sedate lead up front, they might not catch her. But I think that Notice Me from the inside might give her a little bit of attention. I find that De Silva from post 1 tends to be a little bit aggressive, and that might hurt the chances of Miss Ariel. I know her last race came against Open Company when she did lose as the favorite. She's back in against Restricted Company here today. But for her to win this race, I think she has to get things all her own way, and I think there's going to be a little bit of pressure up front here from Notice Me.
Breaking from the outside post, number 5 is Crumlin Time. Most recently tried Graded Stakes Company in the Mazarine, finished 6th that day. 2 starts back, Broker Maiden going 2 turns. It feels like from a figure standpoint, her 2 best races have come in these route races. My question for you, Here with the racing form, we look at the buyers and we look at the time form US ratings. The buyers are substantially different in these past two races. The time form ratings, not so much. It makes me wonder a little bit, is that 62 an accurate sort of assessment of her ability, or is she closer to that high 40, low 50 range?
Yeah, that's a legit question. I wish I had the answer for you, but I think it's a valid question to banter about in here. The one thing that I do like about her, though, is I think she's one of the better stayers in the field. I know that Falcon's View can stay the trip too, but I think that Crumlin Time is a more genuine finisher in a race like this too. So, of the two proven horses going around two turns, I do like Crumlin Time a little bit more. I will say this: in the Mazarine, Tis Breathtaking is one of the best juveniles that we've had here this season at Woodbine. I know that she lost subsequently in that most recent race, but that's still a pretty good recommendation. She sort of made a mild bid there and into a slow pace, and then kind of couldn't quite sustain it. Again, another horse that has to take it to the next level. Both you and I are focusing on inside horses in this race. I would be very surprised if it wasn't either Notice Me or Preferred Guest winning this race.
And the interesting thing there is, and like you say, you and I both like the inside horses. I like Notice Me. You like Preferred Guest. The interesting thing is we're going with the horses that really they've never gone two turns before. So for all we know, they're going to hate the route distance, and they're going to end up being more sort of the shorter sprint types. But I just think from a talent standpoint, correct me if you disagree, I think they're the two most talented fillies in the race.
Exactly. We're playing talent here, and whether they want to get two turns or not, that's a legit question mark. And it's not just that. I mean, let's face it, this field hasn't come up all that tough. So even if these horses are a little bit suspect when around two turns, they might still be able to pull off the victory coming up this weekend. Maybe subsequently down the line, they're not route horses, but against this relative group of horses, they might be okay going around two turns.
Eighth race at Woodbine on Saturday. The $100,000 South Ocean happens to be the Woodbine play of the day. Jeff's going to go with the number 2 Preferred Guest. I'm going to go with the number 1 Notice Me. It feels like they are the two most talented fillies in the race. We'll find out if they can successfully navigate two turns. Scheduled post time for the eighth race at Woodbine on Saturday afternoon, 4:42 Eastern. Good luck.